Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for this application assistance webinar. So my name is Kimberly Steinley-Super, and I am Program Officer, Fellowships and Visual Arts at Mid-Atlantic Arts. Before we get started, I do want to point out that closed captioning is available for this presentation. So you can click on the CC icon to display the captions in the Zoom window, or I have also just added a link in the chat if you prefer to pull up the captioning in a separate window. I also want to thank Joseph O'Hara from Caption Access, who is providing our captioning today. So Mid-Atlantic Arts administers the individual artist fellowships and the application submission, review, and post-award process on behalf of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts through an ongoing partnership. I'm also very happy to be joined today by Danielle Bursk from the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. So this webinar is designed to help you better understand the Individual Artist Fellowships program and help guide you through the application process with Mid-Atlantic Arts' new Smart Simple application system. So today we are going to review the eligibility and application requirements and then pull up the application. And I'm going to give a little demonstration about how to use the online system. I anticipate that the presentation portion of the webinar is going to last about an hour, and then we will spend some time at the end answering questions. The webinar is intended to help applicants gain a better understanding of the program and its requirements, but it is not intended as a substitution for the program guidelines, which are available in both English and Spanish on the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and Mid-Atlantic Arts websites. As I mentioned, Danielle Bursk will be my co-presenter for today. And before we begin the presentation, I just want to invite Danielle to say a few words about the State Arts Council and the Individual Artist Fellowships program. Danielle?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, everybody who's joining us here today. The New Jersey State Council on the Arts is proud of the wealth of diverse talent in our state and very pleased to offer Artist Fellowship Awards each year. In addition to the fellowship program, the Council also supports New Jersey's artists through a variety of programs and services, including the Arts Annual Exhibition Series, the Senior Art Show, the Folk Arts Artist Apprenticeship Program, and our Public Arts Inclusion programs. You can learn more at our website or reach out to me directly for more details about any of our programs serving artists. I'd also like to thank Kimberly Steinley-Super at Mid-Atlantic Arts for her hard work and the work of her team on the New Jersey Artist Fellowship Program. They're a great partner and we're so glad to work with them, and quite frankly, we couldn't do it without them. On behalf of the Council, I'd like to welcome all of you to the webinar today and thank you for all that you do for the arts in New Jersey. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Kim.
Thank you so much. So before we really get into it, I do respectfully ask that you save all of your questions until the end. We will make sure we'll get to everyone's questions at that time. I also want to note that we will be publicly posting a captioned recording of this webinar along with the transcript following today's presentation. And if you only need just a quick refresher on how to navigate the new application system, we also have a 10-minute quick start tutorial video that's available on the Mid-Atlantic Arts website as well. So individual artist fellowships are offered in a broad range of visual, literary, and performing arts categories. So different categories are offered each year as determined by a 3-year category rotation schedule. Categories offered for the 2022 award cycle will be digital and electronic, film and video, painting, printmaking, drawing, and book arts, and prose. Only applications in these categories will be accepted for the 2022 fellowships. You may submit one application in a single category per year. If your work doesn't fall under one of these categories, then we invite you to see the program guidelines for that full category rotation schedule and then apply under the appropriate award category in a future program year. The deadline for the 2022 Individual Artist Fellowship applications will be 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, July 15th, 2021. Please be sure to plan ahead and contact us well in advance of that deadline if you do need any assistance. And please also feel free to reach out to Mid-Atlantic Arts if you are experiencing any issues accessing the application or meeting this deadline as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what is this program all about? The New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowships are awarded to practicing New Jersey artists to enable them to pursue their artistic goals. Recipients are selected through a competitive adjudication process based on their completed work. Fellowship applications are reviewed anonymously by independent panels of peer evaluators, composed of artists and arts professionals with expertise in the specific discipline that they are reviewing. The recipients of individual artist fellowships are decided solely on artistic excellence, as demonstrated by work samples submitted with the artist's application. So applicants are not required to submit a project proposal or have fiscal sponsorship. The amount of the award is determined annually by the State Arts Council from funding provided through the New Jersey Hotel Motel Tax. Fellowship awards have ranged in the past from $4,000 to $17,500. There's no award quota per artistic discipline or style. Fellowships are awarded to those applicants who demonstrate the highest artistic excellence, and that is regardless of discipline. Fellowships are not project-based, so applicants may use funding awards to pursue work in their artistic discipline, including purchasing supplies, studying in a workshop situation, maybe renting studio space, or just otherwise freeing their time. Fellowship funds may not be used for travel outside of the country, study as a matriculated student in either a graduate or undergraduate program, or to purchase permanent equipment, which is equipment with a resale value exceeding $350 or having a lifespan over 3 years. To be considered eligible to apply for a fellowship, applicants must be permanent residents of the state of New Jersey, and the applicant must be a current permanent New Jersey resident at the time of application and at the time of award, which will be taking place in March of 2022. So this means that if the applicant moves out of state after the application has been submitted, but prior to being awarded a grant, they are no longer considered eligible. Awarded fellows will be asked to supply 2 forms of verification. So this could be utility bills, driver's license, ID card, bank statements, anything with both your name and home address. Age 18 or older. And the applicant must be the artist whose original artwork is represented in the submitted work samples. There are also some limitations about who may apply to this program. So the following individuals are not eligible to apply. Artists who received a New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowship in any category in 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, or 2017 are not eligible to apply for the current year. Applicants may not be matriculated students in a graduate, undergraduate, or high school program at the time of application or again at award. So fellowships may not provide funding for scholarships or academic study in pursuit of a degree. And finally, collaborating New Jersey artists are not eligible to submit a joint application for collaborative work. So the applicant artist must have sole creative control over all work submitted to the fellowship program under their name. In addition to meeting applicant eligibility, all the work samples that are submitted for consideration must meet a general set of eligibility criteria, and this is regardless of medium. So these require that all work samples must have been produced within the eligible time frame that is outlined by discipline in the program guidelines. Work completed while the applicant was a matriculated student in a graduate, undergraduate, or high school program is not considered eligible. Works in progress and project proposals are also not considered eligible as work samples. And for the purposes of this program, complete is considered to be the point at which the work is ready for a public presentation, and that is unless it is otherwise noted in the program guidelines. And then to help ensure that applications are reviewed solely on the artistic excellence of the work submitted and not on the previous accomplishments or identity of the artist, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts has made the application review process anonymous for the panelists. Accordingly, applicants may not identify themselves or provide crediting information in their work samples, in the work sample file names, or on the work samples tab of the online application, including information such as, but not necessarily limited to, the artist's name or signature, identifying initials or symbols, professional affiliations, and biographical information may render the application ineligible. If it's not possible for this type of identifying information to be edited out of the work samples, then it cannot be submitted as part of the application. We also want you to keep in mind that there are specific technical requirements for work submitted to this program. So these requirements help with consistency, but they are also necessary to make sure the work samples submitted are compatible with the review software that is used by panelists. In almost every case, it's possible to convert whatever files you have available, but again, we do urge you to plan ahead when preparing those work samples for submission. We also have an extensive work sample preparation guide that's available on the Mid-Atlantic Arts website, and that does include links to some free online conversion resources, as well as answers to many of our frequently asked questions as well. And for those of you who have applied with the eGrant system previously, you may notice that we are able to offer a little bit more flexibility with this new system. So please do revisit these requirements in the program guidelines. So all applicants, regardless of discipline, will be given space in the application to address the following prompt. Is there any other information you want to provide for the panelists to help them better understand the work submitted in the application? So the panel statement is at all times secondary to the work samples, but it is intended to provide applicants with the space to convey non-biographical information to the panel that is key to the reception and full appreciation of the submitted work. So artists who choose to submit a statement for the panel should be aware that their response may not include any biographical or identifying information. And as a general rule, any information that could be found in your resume or CV should not be provided in the panel statement. All statements will be reviewed by administrative staff prior to the panel, and if any identifying or biographical information is found, then we will remove the entire panel statement from the application and it will not be shared with panelists. Administrative staff will not otherwise edit or alter your panel statement, but we will also not notify applicants if that statement is removed. So some acceptable topics to address in the panel statement could include any of the following: artistic interpretation or theoretical background of the work, your artistic philosophies as they relate to the submitted work, how you physically or conceptually produce your work, your creative habits or inspiration, if applicable, additional visual description, so in cases where the work is not easily captured or is otherwise difficult to understand, any non-biographical information that helps the panelists situate your work samples within your larger body of work as an artist, if that's relevant. And you may discuss your cultural identity, such as race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or religion, if relevant for understanding your work. Do not include your legal or artist name, social media handles, or personal details such as contact information, information about awards, fellowships, grants, or residencies you have received, your exhibition performance, publication history, or educational background, details about the exhibition performance or publication of the submitted work, information about former or current employment, any indication, hinted or overt, about the applicant's age, experience level, or where the applicant is in their career. So for example, you would not want to say something like, I have been practicing for 30 years, or after recently graduating. Please do not include direct appeals to the panel. So this could be something like, please consider funding my work. Information about what the funding would be used for should you receive an award. And finally, your personal or financial circumstances. So the fellowships are not need-based grants. In addition to general work sample eligibility and technical specifications for work samples, each category is also going to have some specific requirements for the work samples, and that's depending on the medium. So we are going to quickly review what those are for each category, but again, please be sure to review those program guidelines before submitting your application. We also really strongly encourage applicants to kind of use those program guidelines as a checklist as they go through the application, just to make sure that they are meeting all of the requirements for their category. So the digital electronic category accepts time-based, interactive, or kinetic work where technology is pivotal to the meaning and/or presentation of the work, such as electronic installations, virtual and augmented reality, internet projects, and other emerging forms. Film or video and responsive audio components, which are incorporated into a larger installation, are also accepted in this category. So we get a lot of questions about what types of work are eligible in digital electronic category. So before we review those work sample requirements, I do want to offer a few examples of the type of work that are and are not appropriate for submission in this category. And again, all this information we are about to review is in the program guidelines, so we do encourage you to read through these points again after watching this presentation. And then feel free to contact Mid-Atlantic Arts if you have any question about whether or not your work is eligible. So some examples of appropriate work include works which derive significant meaning from being displayed on or combined with computers, screens, or other electronic or digital media. Sculptural works incorporating digital technology, video, responsive audio components, or electronic movement. Interactive sculptural installations that include digital technology, video, responsive audio components, or other electronic elements. Virtual and augmented reality projects, internet projects that require participant engagement, projects that include artistic interpretive use or creative manipulation of existing digital platforms and tools, such as social media, QR codes, or open source software. And just as a note here, artists, again, must retain sole creative control over the conceptualization and implementation of the project. And applicants must also be able to submit this work anonymously in order for it to be eligible. So this means you would have to be able to remove usernames and social media handles as well. And video of live demonstrations where artists or another participant is required to actively manipulate the technological elements of the work are also accepted. So the artist, if they are featured in this video, should not be identified as the person featured when that is applicable. So work that would not be considered eligible or appropriate includes work in which digital technology is used primarily as a tool for production and/or fabrication, but does not significantly contribute to the meaning of the work, such as graphic design, photo or video editing, production and editing, and CNC fabricated sculptures. Static digital collage and digital painting are not eligible. Digital photography should be submitted in the photography category. Virtual artist databases or digitized facsimiles of work in other mediums. So for example, scanned paintings or ebooks. Kinetic work that does not rely on electronic technology for movement or operation must be entered into the discipline most dominant. So for example, a wind-powered kinetic sculpture with no electronic or digital components should be submitted under the sculpture category. Web design, marketing campaigns, and social media accounts that are used to document or promote a project or artist. And work based in dance, theater, music, or other performance genres are not eligible in this category, even if the work features elements such as complex lighting design or video projections. So applicants will be provided with space to upload 4 to 8 digital images or short video clips of their original work in the online application. Either an image or video file will be accepted for each upload. So applicants may submit any combination of images and video that best represents their work within the space allotted in the application. Applicants may submit both image and video documentation of the same work. It is strongly recommended that at least 4 individual pieces of work are represented in your application if feasible, and please do not submit more than 8 total examples of your work. All work samples must have been created after July 15, 2017. And do not submit works in progress or work completed while the applicant was a student. Also, please do not submit signatures, initials, or recognizable artist marks or other identifiers. Those may not appear in the digital images or within the video. If you are submitting video as your work sample documentation, each video clip must be no longer than 1 minute in length and no larger than 100 megabytes in size. The video should demonstrate how the work samples function. Video may only provide documentation of the submitted work samples. So do not submit other promotional videos, still images presented as a slideshow, interviews with the artist, or other commentary which provides interpretation of the work. Video work samples must also be stripped of any identifying metadata that is embedded within the file and in the file name. So those should not contain the applicant's name or any other identifying information. So the film and video category accepts all genres of film and video, such as feature-length films, shorts, animation, documentaries, etc., as well as any other time-based work produced by recording visual images. So one example of the applicant's original work must be uploaded into the online application. The uploaded video has a maximum file size of 10 minutes and may not exceed 500 megabytes. Do not submit more than 1 work in the file, so compilations of multiple films are not eligible. The submitted video file must represent a contiguous portion of the work. Again, do not submit a collection of excerpts. The work must have been completed after July 15, 2017. The applicant artist must be solely responsible for the creative decisions regarding conception, directing, and editing of the submitted work. Again, here, collaborations are not considered eligible. Do not submit works in progress. Work completed or primarily produced while the applicant was a student is not considered eligible. And the video work sample must be stripped of any identifying metadata embedded in the file, and the file name must not contain the applicant's name or other identifying information. So the painting category accepts all forms of painting, including watercolor, acrylic, gouache, oil, tempera, encaustic, mural fresco, graffiti, and paintings which incorporate mixed media. Digital painting is not accepted. The printmaking, drawing, and book arts category accepts all forms of drawing, printmaking, etching, collage, installation, illustration, installations in which printmaking or drawing techniques are pivotal, and other 2D visual media other than painting. Book art and examples of artistic bookmaking are also eligible in this category. Artist catalogs and literary books are not accepted, and other sculptural forms that are constructed of paper should be submitted under the sculpture category. Also, work that only exists in digital format is not accepted. So past applicants may notice that this category replaces what was formerly the works on paper category, and it has been slightly revised for clarity. So 4 to 8 digital images of the applicant's original work must be uploaded into the online application for both painting and printmaking, drawing, and book arts. You may include detail shots, but it is strongly recommended that at least 4 individual pieces of work are represented in your application if feasible. Do not submit more than 8 examples of your work. Composite images are discouraged, but they will be accepted as long as no more than 8 work samples in total are represented in the application. All work samples must have been created after July 15, 2017. Again, no signatures, initials, or recognizable artist marks or other identifiers may appear in the digital images, and self-portraits should not be identified as such if the image contains a recognizable likeness of the artist. And then finally, please do not submit works in progress or work completed while the applicant was a student. The prose category accepts all forms of fiction, literary nonfiction, and other creative prose, including novels, novellas, short stories, essays, criticism, journalism, and biography. Technical writing is not accepted. A 10 to 20 page selection of a single original work by the applicant must be uploaded into the online application. The full work must have been completed after July 17, 2015. The submitted section of the work sample must represent a contiguous portion of the full text. So again, do not submit a collection of excerpts. Panelists will be asked to read the entire 10 to 20 page submitted. Adaptations or translations of other works are not permitted. All work samples must be submitted in English. And please do not include identifying or crediting information, including the applicant's name or pen name, literary agent information, or publication details. And then finally, again, please do not submit works in progress or work completed while the applicant was a student. So to help with the legibility and ease of review during the panel evaluation process, please format the submitted work sample document according to the following specifications. Standard 8.5 by 11 inch page size, double spaced, 1 inch page margins. The text should be a 12-point font and a readable standard font, either Times New Roman or Arial. Title pages may only include the name of the work. Title pages will not be factored into the page count. Pages must be numbered, and that is preferably in the lower right-hand corner of each page. And in cases where accompanying images are integral to the understanding of the written work, such as graphic novels, the applicant may include illustrations or images. Please do note, however, that only the applicant's written work will be evaluated as part of this process. So the applicant must provide a credit or credits for the included images, or note that the images were created by the applicant to protect their anonymity. Stock photos, clip arts, and other images that identify the applicant or are intended to embellish the document will not be accepted. Okay, so now that we have reviewed those eligibility requirements, I am just going to switch my views here and give a quick demonstration of how to fill out the online application. Okay, so the direct URL to the online application is https://midatlanticarts.smartsimple.com. So the first thing you'll want to do is open your internet browser and simply type the address into the bar at the top of the page. And you can also follow the link that's provided in the program guidelines or on the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation website as well. Since this is a new system, all users will need to start by registering for a new account. So you want to click the register button under the login fields to get started. Applicants for the Individual Artist Fellowship Program must register as individual artists in order to have access to the New Jersey Fellowship application. So you'll want to select individual artists to continue. So on the next page, enter your information and provide your email address for the account. We do strongly recommend registering your individual artist account with a personal email address rather than a business email address. And this is especially important if your business email is associated with an organization that may apply for grant funding through Mid-Atlantic Arts in the future. So I have already registered with an email address for today's demonstration, but once you complete this page and submit your registration, you'll receive an email from Smart Simple, and that is going to prompt you to log in and set up your account password. So the link in that email will take you right back to the Smart Simple website where you can set your password to finish activating your account. After you set your password, you will be automatically logged in. So again, for demonstration purposes, I have already registered. So I'm just going to return to the main login page and enter my login and password. And click Login. Okay. So once you're logged in, you'll be directed to this landing page that will list all the account options and grant opportunities that are available to individual artists. So from this page, you can update your profile or change your password. You can start a new application, access your in-progress applications, or you can also check the status of a submitted application. To access the fellowship's application, click the Funding Opportunities button under Available Applications. This page will list all of the opportunities that are currently available to individual artists at Mid-Atlantic Arts. So other grant applications may also be listed on this page if any other opportunities are available at that time. But you'll just want to look for the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowship opportunity, and then click the Apply Now button. So clicking Apply Now is going to generate your new application. Before you begin entering information, you'll want to click the Save Draft button at the bottom of the page to save a copy of the application draft to your account. So you must click the Save Draft button in order to have access to all of the necessary fields. Okay, so the application itself is divided into 3 tabs. So there's the applicant information, work samples, and consent. Navigating between these 3 sections is really simple. You can either just click on these tabs, or you can also click the next and back buttons at the very bottom of the page. You'll also notice that there is a Notes tab on the left-hand side of the page. And if you have a question or you just need to contact staff about your application, you can click on this Notes tab and use this feature to add a note by clicking this icon with the plus sign. And then you can just write your message to Mid-Atlantic Arts and click Save. So the link, excuse me. The note will be shared with staff, and then our response will be saved alongside your application just for easy reference. So the first section of the application is for applicant information. And nothing on this tab is going to be shared with the panelists except for your category, so don't worry about including your personal information here. On the applicant information tab, the first thing you'll be prompted to do is select your category in which you're applying. And again, as a reminder, you may only submit 1 application in a single category per year. So some of the information that you included when registering for your Smart Simple account is going to automatically carry over to this tab of the application. So you're going to see that some of your information is pre-populated under this profile information header. So just review the information here, and if you need to make any edits, you can click the My Profile link that's provided in this instructions box. And your account profile should pop up as a new window or tab, which can then be closed as soon as you have completed making changes to your profile information and hit that Save button. So once you have saved the changes in your account profile, you should then save your application draft, and that will refresh the information that is displayed in your profile information section. So just a note as we go further down the page, wherever you see this little red asterisk, that means the field is required. So you will need to provide information in all those fields before the system is going to allow you to submit. So on this additional information section of the page, you'll be asked to provide your publicity name or artist name, if applicable. And as noted, this is basically just the name you prefer to use when you are being publicly addressed as an artist. So we will provide this information to the State Arts Council for announcements should you receive a fellowship. The application also asks for any information about previous New Jersey State Council on the Arts individual artist fellowships. You may have one. And if you indicate that you have received a fellowship in the past, it will also ask you for the year and discipline. All applicants must include a career summary or biography. So you should use this space to describe your educational background and professional achievements. And again, this is just used for administrative purposes. It's not going to be seen by the panelists, so don't worry about anonymity here. And either narrative biography or your CV is perfectly fine. And just to note, this is a rich text field, so you will be able to edit and format that information in the application as well. There is a 2,000 word limit on this field. And then finally, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts also collects optional demographic information that provides the council with important data about the communities they serve. This information is used for analytical purposes only. It's not going to be seen by the panelists or inform the selection process. So before discussing the work sample tabs for each category, it's important to understand how the application works in order to ensure that you are supplying the correct information. So the category the applicant selects on the applicant profile tab is going to determine what specific work sample information they're required to provide in the work samples tab of the application. So some of you might know this as conditional formatting, but it basically just allows applicants to see the information that is relevant for them depending on the category they're applying to. So let's just take a few minutes to go through those application requirements for each category, and we will just start with digital electronic here. And I do encourage our viewers just to watch as I go through each category, even if it's not the category you're applying to, just to kind of help give you a better sense of how to complete the application. Okay, so when I click over to the Work Samples tab, once I've selected Digital and Electronic as my category on the Applicant Information tab, the Work Samples tab will provide some instructions for submitting in the Digital Electronic category. In those instructions, again, you can find a link to the program guidelines. And again, really important to just review those before submitting an application, no matter what category you're applying to. So before we just start discussing the work sample pages themselves, again, just a reminder that anonymity is a cornerstone of the program. So it's really important that you remove any identifying information from the work samples. Again, that general rule, anything that could be listed in your resume should be omitted from this section of the applicants. The panelists won't see the information you include on the Applicant Information tab, but we do provide them with the information on the Work Samples tab. So it's really important that everything you include here is kept anonymous. Okay, so moving down the page, the first requirement is going to be a work sample file upload. So categories that collect image and video work samples use a media library function, and that will allow you to upload multiple files into your application at once. So once you click the upload button, you'll see the types of files that are allowed. In this case, it is video and image files, the file size limit for each upload, and the maximum number of files that can be uploaded. And this is in line with the guideline requirements for this category. So click the Browse button here to locate the files on your computer, select your desired files, and then click Open. You'll see the file upload into the application, and then it will move to the bottom of that window, and that's how you'll know that work sample has been uploaded. And then when you close out of this window, you'll see that the image I just uploaded is now in my photo library. So you can preview that image just by going ahead and clicking on the thumbnail. And the application is also going to collect some specific information about each work sample upload. So to edit this information in your media library, click this Edit Metadata button. And then you'll want to complete the fields as prompted and click Save. So the top of the Edit Metadata window is just some basic information about that file. And then under the Work Information section, digital electronic applicants will be asked to submit the title of the work sample, the medium, the dimensions, so the height, the width, and the depth, the dimensions in units. And if you are submitting work without physical dimensions in this category, like an internet project, for example, you can just click the check here if physical dimensions are not an applicable option. The month and year of the date of completion. And as you can see here, this is actually a drop-down field. Every date listed here is eligible. So if you do not see the date of completion for your work sample, you would need to select a different work sample. Applicants should also describe the production technique, materials, and technical processes for, related to the creation of the work samples in the technical information section. And for digital electronic, this could be the software used or how mechanical structures were built out, for example. Interpretation of the work or information about your creative process, that should be addressed in the panel statement, which we will take a look at in just a second. Okay, so once you've entered all of your metadata, you can just click the Save button at the bottom of the window. And then you want to click, again, just the Save Draft button, and that will refresh the information that is visible in the work sample. So here you can see everything I just entered is now visible in that metadata. Next, you're going to be asked to confirm that you have provided metadata for your all of the work sample images that you have uploaded. And this is basically just a little reminder to double check that you've provided all the necessary information for the work that you are submitting. And then finally, you will be asked to provide your panel statement, and this is an optional field. I would highly recommend clicking on this specific program guidelines link in the instructions box for the panel statement. And that is going to take you directly to the full instructions that we went over just a minute ago about how you should, what you should and should not submit in the statement. So it's really just an easy way to reference those guideline requirements. Your panel statement is limited to 250 words. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the Applicant Information tab, and this time I'm going to select Film Video as my category. And when I click over to the Work Samples tab, again, you'll see some instructions for submitting under this category. The process for uploading video file will be the same here. But you'll notice that when I click this upload button, only video files are now accepted. The max file size is much larger, and I can only upload a single video file in line with, again, those guideline requirements for this category. So I will click the upload button, select my work sample, and click open. Since video files are much larger, they may take a few minutes to upload, and you will notice that the new system does include a progress bar, so you can see how far along you are with that upload. After uploading for video, you may see a message that says your video is being processed, and this is for the video preview that the system automatically generates. So video uploaded into the application may take several minutes to process for this preview, and playback of that preview may not be representative of the original video quality. Panelists will, however, have access to that original video file that is uploaded into the application. So if I click on the Edit Metadata button for my video work sample, applicants in film and video will be asked to provide the title, the length of the full work, date of completion, a short 2 to 3 sentence synopsis or description of the full work, and the synopsis should help situate the submitted section in the context of the larger work, if applicable. So if you are submitting a 10-minute clip from a 90-minute film, provide a synopsis for the full film. Applicants may also include other relevant technical details about the creation of the work in the technical information section. So this could be camera equipment used or methods of editing. And if you are working as the head of a production team, applicants should explain the specific rules in the creation of the work, keeping in mind that the applicant must have maintained creative control over the full work in order for it to be eligible for this program. Interpretation of the work or information about your creative process, again, that should be addressed in the panel statement and not in the technical information. Film video applicants also going to be asked to confirm that they have included their metadata for their work sample, and they also have the option to include a panel statement. So now let's take a look at the painting work samples tab. So again, the process of uploading to the media library is going to be exactly the same as here as when with the digital, electronic, and film video categories, except when I click this upload, you'll see now that only images are accepted. And just as a note here, the 50 megabytes is the maximum file size limit. Most images are going to be significantly smaller than this, so don't worry if your images are too small if they're nowhere close to that 50 megabyte mark. So I'm just going to upload one image here as an example. And then when I edit this metadata, panelist applicants are going to be asked to provide the title, medium, dimensions, again, height, width, depth, and unit of measurement, the date of completion, and then applicants should also describe the production techniques, materials, and technical processes related to the creation of the work samples in the technical information section. So this could be offering more information about a specific techniques you use, or maybe how the material was applied. And again, they'll be asked to provide that confirmation, and they will have the option to submit a panel statement. If you would like to provide an interpretation of the work or information about your creative process, that should be included in the panel statement. I will also really quickly just show the printmaking, drawing, and book arts category in the work sample section, but I'm not going to go through this category in much detail because except for this description at the top of the page here, this category has the exact same requirements as the painting category. Okay, so finally, let's take a look at the prose category. And prose is the only category that does not use the standard media library function. So prose applicants are simply going to upload their PDF work sample by clicking this upload button. Again, selecting browse. And that file will be listed here in the body of the application. And then you can simply fill out the rest of the information as prompted. So there is no metadata required if you're only submitting that PDF file. So prose applicants are going to be asked to submit a title of the work, length of the full work in pages, date of completion, and a short 2 to 3 sentence synopsis of the full work. The synopsis should help situate the submitted section in the context of the larger work, if applicable. And no other information should be submitted in the synopsis. So again, interpretation of the work or information about your creative process, please put that in your panel statement. So after applicants have uploaded their work samples and filled in all the required related information for their respective categories, all applicants are going to be required to provide their consent to the terms and conditions of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowships Program. So on the last tab, you will need to review the information provided and click I have read and agree to the statements listed above. You must click this checkbox in order to submit your application. Applicants who do not agree with the terms and conditions are not considered eligible and will not be allowed to submit their application. So finally, when you are all set, you've reviewed everything carefully and are ready to submit, you just click the Submit button at the bottom of the page. And if you've missed, as you can see here, if you've missed a required field or if any other errors are found, you'll see a red error box at the top of the page and should make the appropriate corrections to the application. So here you can see that I have quite a bit of missing information in my application, and I'm not going to go back and fill in everything today, but you may see a few of these reminders if you haven't filled in all of those required fields. If everything is verified and the application will, you'll see like a pop-up box, it will confirm you are ready to submit and you can complete your submission process. Once the application has been submitted, you will no longer be able to make changes, so please do review the information carefully prior to submission. And if you are unsure of the eligibility requirements, then please do review the program guidelines and contact Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation or Mid-Atlantic Arts prior to submitting your application. After you have successfully submitted your application, you will receive a confirmation message in Smart Simple, and you also receive a automatically generated confirmation email with a copy of your application attached. No further actions are required at that point. And please note that it may take several minutes for your confirmation to be sent after submission. And if it seems like it's taking a while, please also be sure to check your junk folder as well. Finally, I will note that submitting your application means that you have filled in all the required information and provided the correct work sample file types, but it does not necessarily mean that you have met all the eligibility and technical requirements. So as I showed, we do try to provide some reminders throughout the application, but it is ultimately up to the applicant to make sure that they are following those guidelines. So before we wrap up this demonstration, another thing I'd just like to note is that you do not need to complete this application all at once. So applicants can fill out a portion of the application and then log back in at a later time, and that saved information will still be there for you. You can also access, but not edit, your submitted application from the home page, which is the landing page where you first arrive after you log in. So just to demonstrate this, I'm going to go ahead and save my draft, and then I'm going to return to the home page. And under my applications, you see that I have one application draft in progress, and I can simply click that and then click open to continue work on that application. After my application has been submitted, it will be moved to this submitted folder here. It can be accessed from this submitted folder. After the fellowship has been awarded, a notification sent, you will also be able to see that information under the approved declined section. Okay, so as I mentioned, Mid-Atlantic Arts administers the application submission and review on behalf of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, and we are also here to help you through the application process. So please do feel free to be in touch. Questions regarding the program guidelines, application process, or other technical issues should be directed to me. And again, my name is Kimberly Steinley Super. I am Program Officer, Fellowships and Visual Arts. You can reach me by email at kimberly@midatlanticarts.org or by phone at 410-539-6656, and my direct extension is 101. Please also list a good time to call you back if I do not pick up. Assistance is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I do want to mention that applicants receive assistance from Mid-Atlantic Arts staff on a first-come, first-served basis, and should be aware that demand does increase significantly shortly before the deadline. So please be in touch as early in the application process as possible if you need any assistance to make sure we can get back to you in a timely fashion. I will just say thank you so much to everyone who joined us, and we're really excited to have launched this new application system. We hope you all find it a very intuitive and simple process. So yeah, I look forward to receiving your applications. And please do feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. If you'd like to discuss the specific work you are looking to submit, I'm happy to have a conversation. So I also want to thank Danielle again just for joining us today, for being part of this presentation, and thank you so much for your time.